Chapter 340. This person was Li Hongqing. Tang Zheng couldn't see the slightest trace of her past temperament. He only felt a strange aura lingering around her, causing his heart to palpitate. What color is this? The others were also shocked, especially Xuanhuan and Old Wei. No matter how they looked at it, this person seemed to have gone mad. Qin Badian had a pained expression as he called out to Hongqing and rushed over. Li Hongqing's face flashed with malevolence as she brandished the kitchen knife, viciously chopping towards Qin Badian. Qin Badian's eyes flashed with shock. He didn't know why his wife wanted to kill him. However, Qin Badian grabbed onto his wife's wrist. Li Hongqing struggled with all her might, causing him to stagger and almost fall. Everyone couldn't help but cry out in shock. This was truly unexpected, but Qin Badian was an expert after all. His reaction speed was extremely fast as he dodged the kitchen knife and hugged his wife tightly. Li Hongqing continued to struggle as she let out a sharp roar. Her eyes turned red as though she wanted to devour someone. Hongqing, it's me. I'm Badian. What's wrong with you? Why did you become like this? Qin Badian asked bitterly. Li Hongqing turned a deaf ear to his words as she continued to struggle and scream. Why does it seem like she's possessed? Li Xiaotian asked hesitantly. Possessed? Everyone was shocked. That's right, Li Hongqing's appearance was very similar to that of the legendary evil. Qin Badian's heart turned cold. If it was a medical problem, it would still be fine. But this kind of mysterious problem wasn't so easy to solve. He looked towards Tang Zheng as though he was asking for help. Tang Zheng, do you have any ideas? Tang Zheng didn't reply as he directly walked over. His finger reached for the blood-red safety buckle. Li Hongqing was wearing pajamas, and the safety buckle was about to sink into the gap between her breasts. However, Tang Zheng didn't nod his head. Qin Badian had a suspicious look on his face, but he didn't stop him. When Tang Zheng's fingers came into contact with the blood jade, Li Hongqing's eyes suddenly flashed with a terrifying light. Her screams grew louder and louder as her strength abruptly increased. She actually managed to struggle free from Qin Badian's embrace as her fingers clawed towards Tang Zheng's face. Tang Zheng, be careful. Xuanhuan shouted anxiously. Tang Zheng didn't move at all. His finger touched the center of Li Hongqing's forehead at lightning speed, and the scream came to an abrupt end. She was motionless as if she had been paralyzed. However, her face was still filled with a ferocious struggle, which was very frightening. The others were dumbfounded. This was simply like magic. The others didn't understand what was going on at all. Why was she so quiet with just a finger? Qin Badian's brows furrowed as a look of joy appeared on his face. Since Tang Zheng could control her, that meant that there was hope for him to cure her. Li Hongqing gradually closed her eyes, and her expression finally returned to normal. Tang Zheng reached out and removed the blood jade. It was extremely cold when he touched it. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. The finger he used just now wasn't as simple as it looked. When his fingertip touched Li Hongqing's skin, a crazy and cold spiritual energy instantly passed through his fingertip and into his body. If an ordinary person was entangled by this spiritual energy, they would definitely die. However, Tang Zheng's vital energy quickly dissolved this spiritual energy and converted it into his own vital energy. This spiritual energy was very similar to the spiritual energy that Tang Zheng had absorbed before, but it was more aggressive and cold. This spiritual energy was sent into her body by the blood jade. It was now lingering in her body, controlling her body and mind. Mr. Qin, please carry your wife back to her room. Tang Zheng temporarily controlled the yin energy in her body, causing her to fall into a coma again. Qin Badian hurriedly supported Li Hongqing as he anxiously asked, Tang Zheng, do you have a way to save her? Tang Zheng didn't make any guarantees as he lightly said, I have a clue, I will do my best. Hearing this, Qin Badian was overjoyed and couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He was already at his wits' end and was on the verge of despair. He didn't think that there would be a ray of hope. Tang Zheng, thank you. You saved my wife. Qin Badian will definitely remember your kindness. Qin Badian emotionally said. Xuanhuan originally wanted to stop Tang Zheng, telling him not to be so reckless. After all, saving a life wasn't something that could be done just by feeling. However, seeing how much Qin Badian trusted him, he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. He was also somewhat curious as to how Tang Zheng was going to save her. I wonder what kind of illness she is suffering from? Old Wei asked with concern as this was a matter of his responsibility. Tang Zheng opened his hand and the blood jade lay quietly in the middle of his palm, glowing with a rosy luster. He asked, Old Wei, what is the origin of this blood jade? Could it really be related to the blood jade? Old Wei's heart skipped a beat as Xuanhuan also revealed a look of concern. Earlier, the two of them had solemnly vowed that there was nothing wrong with the blood jade. However, after seeing Li Hongqing's crazed state, their hearts began to pound like a drum. After all, they had never heard of an illness like hers. Qin Badian and Li Xiaotian were also quite curious as they looked at Tang Jing, waiting for his answer. Tang Jing nodded. It is indeed related to the blood jade. That's why I want to know the origin of this blood jade. Qi Shaoan and Old Wei's faces flushed red with guilt. They had been so confident just now, they didn't expect Qin Baishan's judgment to be correct. Of course, no one doubted the veracity of Tang Zheng's judgment. After all, he had calmed Li Hongqing down with a single finger. That alone was enough to stun them. Old Wei pondered for a moment before explaining. This blood jade and the three-legged bronze cauldron were both antiques from the same place. They were both antiques from thousands of years ago. However, Old Wei couldn't find out how useful this blood jade actually was. However, there was no doubt that the blood jade's color and luster were excellent. Hence, it was one of the Imperial Treasury's treasures. A few days ago, Qin Badian had specially made a trip to the Imperial Treasury to pick out his wife's birthday present. Coincidentally, this blood jade had caught his eye. Because Li Hongqing was a jade lover, Qin Badian didn't know much about antiques and jades. He only thought that this blood jade was very beautiful and thus bought it for his wife without hesitation. Li Hongqing also liked it very much. However, after wearing it for a few days, Li Hongqing fell into a semi-conscious state and eventually fell into a coma. Li Hongqing's body was usually very healthy. Qin Badian thought for a long time before suspecting that this blood jade was related to her health. He took the blood jade from his wife's body and tied it up high. He didn't expect his wife to wake up and find the blood jade and wear it on her chest. Then, was this blood jade used to be used for rituals? Tang Jing asked. Old Wei and Qi Shaoan looked at each other and shook their heads in unison. We don't know about that. What's wrong with this blood jade? Why is it fine when it's in our shop, but this happened when Mr. Qin bought it? Tang Jing already understood the reason. This blood jade was definitely related to rituals. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that kind of spiritual energy. However, this blood jade was obviously different from antiques like the bronze cauldron. This blood jade had indeed become like this after being soaked in fresh blood. Fresh blood represented slaughter. Hence, the spiritual energy contained in the jade was mixed with a lot of evil energy, causing the spiritual energy to become very aggressive. When the blood jade was in the Imperial Treasure House, it was placed very high, so of course, it would not affect people much. However, Li Hongqing liked the blood jade very much, so she always carried it with her. This spiritual power seeped into her body, which caused such a big reaction. Of course, he didn't explain this reason. After all, the things involved were too inconceivable. Thus, he said perfunctorily, I can be sure that her illness is related to this blood jade, but I can't say for sure. However, as long as she doesn't come into contact with the blood jade after she's cured, there won't be a problem. Qin Badian was a shrewd person. He instantly understood the perfunctory meaning in Tang Zheng's words. However, he didn't think too much about it. As long as Tang Zheng could cure his wife, everything else was insignificant. Old Wei apologized. Mr. Qin, I'm really sorry. I didn't know things would turn out like this. I've never encountered such a thing before. Qin Badian saw that Tang Zheng had a close relationship with the other party. Although he was still a little angry, he didn't flare up. He said, no one knew about this beforehand, so I won't blame anyone. I only ask that Hongqing's illness be cured. Old Wei heaved a sigh of relief. If he didn't get Qin Baishan's forgiveness, then his imperial treasury would really come to an end. He couldn't help but look deeply at Tang Zheng, unable to hide his gratitude. Seeing his old friend's expression, Qi Shaoan felt proud. After all, Tang Zheng was his disciple. Although he wasn't the one who taught his disciple, he was still very proud and happy that his disciple was so capable. Tang Zheng, when will the treatment begin? Qin Badian couldn't wait to ask. The few of them went to Li Hongqing's bedroom. She was like a baby sleeping soundly. Her face was peaceful, and there was no trace of the ferocious and terrifying look from before. You all go out first. I want to treat her alone. No matter what you hear, you are not allowed to come in without my permission. Tang Jing said in a low voice. A single man and a single woman in the same room. It was unavoidable that one's imagination would run wild. Qi Shaoan felt that it was inappropriate and was about to persuade him when Qin Badian said, no problem. We'll go out right away. If you need anything, just call me. No one will disturb your treatment. Tang Jing nodded inwardly. I'll stay and help. Suddenly Li Xiaotian said. Everyone looked at her in unison, but Li Xiaotian was looking seriously at Tang Zheng. Obviously she wanted to know more about Tang Zheng. She didn't want to let go of such a good opportunity. And during the treatment of Li Hongqing, it would definitely involve many secrets of the cultivators. Seeing her resolute expression, there was no room for negotiation. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment before nodding. In any case, she knew his identity. It wouldn't be a problem for her to witness the treatment. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if she really made a scene. The others naturally didn't have any objections. After a while they all retreated. Qin Badian stood guard not far from the door, not allowing anyone to disturb them. Chapter 341. The room quieted down. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng and asked, "What are you going to do now?" "Just watch but don't make a fuss. What's the point of just breaking the skin?" Tang Zheng reminded him. Li Xiaotian pursed his lips and said, "Don't worry, I'm not a blabbermouth. I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeve." Tang Zheng walked to the front of the bed. Li Hongqing was a charming young woman in her 30s, which was the age when she was full of charm, but at this moment she was just a patient in Tang Zheng's eyes. Tang Zheng stooped down expressionlessly and pressed a few points on her body. Her eyes immediately opened, revealing a murderous aura. She screamed and sat up straight. She immediately threw herself at Tang Zheng, but Tang Zheng's palm landed on her head. Whoosh! Her face immediately turned a strange shade of red, and her body glowed red. The temperature in the room plummeted, sending chills down one's spine. Li Xiaotian's eyes widened as he watched. He didn't know why there was such a huge reaction. How would Tang Zheng deal with it? Tang Zheng urged his power, and the true qi continuously flowed from the top of her head into his body as if he was suddenly enlightened. Li Hongqing's screams grew louder and louder as if she wanted to rip the roof off. Tang Zheng remained expressionless. Li Xiaotian wanted to stop him, but he remembered Tang Zheng's instructions and held himself back. Outside the room, Qin Badian was pacing back and forth. When he heard his wife's screams, his body trembled. He wanted to rush in and share her pain, but he held himself back and looked anxiously at the door. Old Wei and Qi Shaoan exchanged glances. Old Wei asked worriedly, "Old Qi, how much do you know about your disciple?" Qi Shaoan only knew that Tang Zheng was talented in archaeology, but knew nothing about other things. He shook his head resentfully. Old Wei glanced at Qin Badian and hesitantly asked, "Mr. Qin, what is the identity of this Tang Zheng?" Qin Badian halted his steps as he stared at the two of them in bewilderment. Tang Zheng stood out for them, yet they didn't know about Tang Zheng's identity. How strange. Of course, he was not one to casually judge others, so he did not reveal Tang Zheng's identity. He simply said, "In short, he is not an ordinary person." Old Wei understood the meaning behind Qin Badian's words. Even Qin Badian didn't dare to underestimate Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's identity was simply too mysterious. He sighed to Qi Shaoan, "Old Qi, you've really taken in a good disciple." Of course. Qi Shaoan was a little smug. Inside the bedroom the screams grew softer and softer. The red light on Li Hongqing's body grew brighter and brighter, but this didn't mean that her situation was getting worse. Instead, it meant that the red light was being forced out of her body. Tang Zheng continued to circulate his inner energy, slowly extracting the red light from her body. Suddenly Tang Zheng let out a low shout and slapped her back. Bang! With a muffled sound, Li Hongqing's body fell forward. With a whoosh, the red light left Li Hongqing's body and soared into the air, hovering above the ceiling. Li Hongqing closed her eyes and fell back into a deep sleep. Her expression was serene, without a trace of the ferocious expression she had just now. Li Xiaotian watched this scene in astonishment, especially when she saw the red light on the ceiling. She couldn't contain her excitement. It was impossible for a martial artist healing to appear like this. Only the world of cultivators could be so colorful. She couldn't help but exclaim, "I'm a little envious of you. This kind of supernatural power far surpasses that of a martial artist." Tang Zheng didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the red light and thought to himself, "The blood jade has been absorbing spiritual energy for thousands of years to nourish this thing." This red light was a consciousness nourished by the blood jade's spiritual energy. In other words, the blood jade was about to become a spirit. However, even if it had become a spirit, it was still too vicious. It was definitely not a kind soul, which was why it harmed Li Hongqing. This thing can't be left alive. Moreover, I can increase my cultivation by absorbing this spiritual energy. Killing two birds with one stone. Why not? The red light seemed to have sensed the threat that Tang Zheng posed to it. It hesitated on the roof, but the room's doors and windows were tightly shut. The red light had no chance of escaping. What is this thing? Li Xiaotian asked curiously. Tang Jing turned a deaf ear. Li Xiaotian pursed her lips and said, "Forget it if you don't want to tell me. How are you going to deal with it? I don't think it's a living thing. It won't be easy for you to destroy it." Tang Jing smiled mysteriously, then watched carefully. Tang Jing jumped and pounced on the red light. The red light moved quickly and retreated a few meters in the blink of an eye. However, in this narrow space, Tang Jing's movements were more agile. One retreating and one advancing, Tang Jing's figure was like a ghost. He forced the red light into a corner in a flash. Then he pounced on it with all his strength and grabbed at it with both hands. The red light tried to break out, but its strength was too weak. It was only a weak consciousness nourished by the blood jade. It relied on its instincts to do things. In fact, it was no match for a smart person like Tang Jing. Tang Jing's big hand completely blocked the red light's path of retreat. Then he grabbed the red light. The light originally did not have a physical body, but when Tang Jing grabbed it, it was unable to quickly break free. Tang Jing silently operated the Heart Sutra. His palm turned into a whirlpool. The airflow in the room changed rapidly and was constantly sucked into his palm. The red light wanted to escape, but Tang Jing's palm was like a black hole, making it unable to escape. Whoosh. When the last trace of red light disappeared, Tang Jing's face could not help but show a trace of red, but it immediately returned to normal. "How are you?" Li Xiaotian quickly asked. Tang Jing was silent. He sat cross-legged on the chair and closed his eyes. This red light contained a strong spiritual power. In an instant, it rushed into Tang Jing's dantian. He must immediately operate the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll and transform this spiritual power into true qi. So, he did not have time to explain to Li Xiaotian. Of course, he was not worried that Li Xiaotian would have any malicious actions towards him. His strength was not as good as Li Xiaotian's. If Li Xiaotian wanted to harm him, Li Xiaotian could do it at any time. There was no need to wait for him to cultivate. Seeing that Tang Jing did not say a word and seemed to be cultivating, Li Xiaotian curiously opened her eyes wide. She could guess that the red light was helpful to his cultivation, but she was not clear about the reason. "He seems to be very assured of me. He is not afraid that I will harm him," Li Xiaotian said in her heart. She also sat to the side and stared at Tang Jing. Little by little, the spiritual power was transformed into true qi. The true qi in his body rose steadily. It quickly crossed the threshold of the 6th grade foundation establishment and continued to rise. "The spiritual power in this blood jade is much richer than the spiritual power I absorbed before," Tang Jing secretly exclaimed. "Oh!" The air around his body quickly fluctuated, like a small whirlpool, stirring the surrounding air into chaos. Tang Jing refined the spiritual power while also absorbing the remaining spiritual power in the blood jade. He intended to refine all of the spiritual power in one go. This time his true qi was like a straight line that quickly rose up. After a while it broke through to 7 inches. He actually reached the 7th grade foundation establishment. Even he himself felt that it was inconceivable. The spiritual power in this blood jade was too abundant. But at this point all of the spiritual power had been refined by him. He opened his eyes and found that Li Xiaotian was squatting in front of him. His eyes were wide open as he stared at him. Tang Jing was startled and asked, "What are you doing? Why do I feel that your power has increased again?" Li Xiaotian couldn't see through Tang Jing's cultivation. This was just a kind of intuition. Tang Jing didn't deny it and said with a smile, "Is this a woman's sixth sense? But it feels very right." Li Xiaotian was bewildered and said, "Could it be because you absorbed that red light?" Seeing Tang Jing nod, Li Xiaotian sighed, "Cultivators are really a powerful existence. No wonder when cultivators and martial artists coexisted, cultivators were superior. You don't need to be afraid. Nowadays, the strength of martial artists can't be underestimated. For example, am I not your opponent now?" Li Xiaotian curled his lips and said, "Don't think that I don't know about you. How many days have you been cultivating and how many years have I been practicing martial arts? There is simply no comparison." Tang Jing sighed. This two-faced woman really understood. With his speed, ordinary martial artists would definitely be unable to catch up. Even many cultivators would find it difficult to catch up. After all, he was the legendary Skywalker, a kind of abnormal cultivation genius. "The more I know about cultivators, the more I feel that what the martial organization is doing is right. People like you are too dangerous. We must not let you grow stronger." Tang Jing was speechless. Was there a need to be so serious? "I have to correct your point of view. Cultivators and martial artists are the same. They are all human. You don't have to decide whether we are suitable to survive in this world because this is our right. Tang Jing argued. Li Xiaotian smiled coldly and said, if I really fully agree with the martial organization, you would be dead by now. Why would I talk nonsense with you? Tang Jing shivered. Indeed, the situation was not too bad. How is she now? Li Xiaotian pointed at Li Hongqing and asked. She has already recovered. The main thing is that the red light controlled her body and mind, which is why this phenomenon occurred. And you can think of this as being possessed. Tang Jing found an easy-to-understand explanation. I forgot to tell you. This Qin Badian is not an ordinary person. You saved his wife. I think he will be deeply grateful to you in the future. Li Xiaotian grasped a lot of information. When he knew Qin Baishan's name, he naturally remembered the information about him. Tang Jing did not feel much. He did not save people to ask for anything in return. Moreover, the Blood Jade's spiritual power had benefited him a lot. Other benefits were secondary. Li Hongqing suddenly moved and the two of them stopped talking. They looked at the bed together only to see Li Hongqing slowly wake up. When she saw Tang Jing, she couldn't help but exclaim, Hey Tang Jing, why are you in my house? Chapter 342. Tang Jing smiled and advised, don't move so quickly. Your body is very weak. I'll call Mr. Qin in. What's the point of breaking your skin? Tang Jing pushed open the door and said, you can come in now. Qin Badian rushed in like a gust of wind. When he saw his wife lying on the bed with her eyes open, he was pleasantly surprised and said excitedly, Hongqing, you've recovered. Li Hongqing looked at her husband suspiciously and asked, what happened to me? You don't remember? Li Hongqing was at a loss and said, I don't know what happened. Tang Jing explained, it's good that you don't remember. Rest well for a few days and you'll be fine. Qin Badian turned to Tang Jing and said, Tang Jing, I really don't know how to thank you. If you need anything in the future, I, Qin Badian, will do my best to help. Tang Jing smiled faintly and said, Mr. Qin, you're too kind. It's just a small matter. Li Hongqing was still at a loss, but it was obvious that Tang Jing had done something extraordinary to make her husband lose his composure. Xuanhuan and Old Wei were completely relieved. Li Hongqing was saved and the Imperial Treasure House's reputation was saved. Mr. Qin, I'll return this blood jade to its rightful owner. Tang Jing spread out his hands and said. Qin Badian looked at the blood jade cautiously and didn't reach out to take it. He regretted buying this blood jade and letting his wife go through so much suffering. This thing. Qin Badian stuttered. Tang Jing knew what he was worried about and explained, this blood jade is no longer dangerous. Li Hongqing looked at the blood jade and said in surprise, isn't this the blood jade you gave me? Since Boss Li likes it so much, I'll return it to its rightful owner. Tang Jing had no use for the blood jade, so he directly handed it to Li Hongqing. Qin Badian wanted to refuse, but when he saw his wife's heartfelt joy, he swallowed his words. Since Tang Jing said that blood jade would not cause any more trouble, he was relieved. It's getting late, I'll get someone to prepare a meal. Today, I must drink with you to my heart's content. Qin Badian said in a heroic manner. Tang Jing waved his hand. No, Boss Li is still very weak. You should spend more time with her. I have to go back to school. Qin Badian tried to persuade them to stay, but seeing that the other party had already made up his mind, he didn't continue persuading them. Only after sending them out of the district did he stop. Tang Jing noticed that Xuanhuan and Old Wei were looking at him strangely. It was as if they were trying to figure him out like a Xiao Bai rat. In the end, Xuanhuan couldn't help but ask, Tang Jing, how did you become so capable? You even know how to heal people. Tang Jing smiled embarrassedly. I once learned a little from a country bum. Fur? If that's what you've learned, then the doctors in those hospitals are nothing. Xuanhuan didn't believe him. Tang Jing's skills were eye-opening. Old Wei was old and experienced, and he already knew that Tang Jing was not an ordinary person. He wanted to be close to him, so he hurriedly smoothed things over and said, Old Qi, you don't need to care about these small details. For you to have taken in such a good disciple, it really is your fortune from 8 lifetimes. You should be happy. Xuanhuan couldn't hide his joy. Of course I'm happy. Tang Jing, this time you saved me from a disaster. If it weren't for you, I really don't know what would have happened. So I really don't know how to thank you. Old Wei said sincerely. Tang Jing smiled. You're Professor Qi's good friend. This is what I should do. At such a young age, he was neither arrogant nor rash. His magnanimity was commendable. The two old men couldn't help but praise him. At noon, Old Wei treated them to a sumptuous lunch to express his gratitude. After that, Tang Jing and the other two returned to Yenqing University. Xuanhuan accepted his only disciple with satisfaction. He reminded Tang Jing to study hard and then went back to his office happily. Tang Jing went back to his dorm. Li Xiaotian couldn't enter the male dorm, so he wandered around the campus. When Tang Jing returned to his dorm, the three of them stared at him as if he was a monster. Tang Jing was puzzled. He asked, "Why are you three looking at me like that? Third brother, are you going to let us live? What's wrong? Professor Qi pestered you to be his disciple. Is this true?" Zhou Yin asked. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Don't make it sound so bad. What do you mean by pestering?" Sinosaurus put his arm around Tang Jing's shoulder and said enviously, "TSK, don't think that we don't know what happened because we weren't there. That's right next to the archaeology department's building. So many archaeology students were watching. It's useless for you to deny it." Wang Shiji continued, "I heard that Professor Qi wants you to study for a master's degree and a doctorate? You don't know how difficult it is to get a master's degree and a doctorate at Yenqing University. You can study for a master's degree and a doctorate without taking the exam. Many people are jealous." Zhou Yin laughed. "What's the use of being jealous? This is our third brother's ability. Let them be jealous. By the way, this matter has spread throughout the archaeology department. Now you're a real badass. From the dean to every archaeology student, they all know your name, Tang Jing." Tang Jing was speechless. He did not want to be famous, so he hurriedly said, "Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. If you want to keep a low profile, then treat us to a meal. You must use delicious food to shut our mouths. Otherwise we will spread your embarrassing news outside and damage your glorious image." Sinosaurus laughed sinisterly. "Wow, I couldn't ask for anything more," Tang Jing said. "Damn, 3, you're too stingy. You're actually willing to sacrifice your reputation for a lifetime and can't even bear to part with a meal?" The few of them fought for a while, and finally extorted a meal from Tang Jing before stopping. There were no classes in the afternoon, so Tang Jing rested in his dorm and slowly recalled his gains today. The 9 revolving pill furnace had already been transformed into a profound level magic treasure, and it had been a while since he had refined pills. In order to not let this skill become rusty, he had to refine some pills. But what kind of pills should he refine? He had not used up all the spirit-gathering pills. Moreover, he needed to use Ling Air to refine the spirit-gathering pills. Ling Air was still in the ordinary balance, so she could not refine the spirit-gathering pills. Other than the spirit-gathering pill, he had only refined the life-continuing pill. However, the life-continuing pill was extremely precious to ordinary people, but it was not of much use to him. He did not want to waste his energy on it, and he did not have the heaven-fragrant flower on him, so he was unable to refine it. F***ck, he died again. The opponent is too strong. He was instantly killed. Suddenly, Sinosaurus shouted, interrupting Tang Jing's thoughts. "Second brother, you're so bad at playing games, yet you still ran up to die for others. Don't you feel stifled?" Zhou Yin teased. "I've only just started playing this game. In a few days, when I'm proficient, I'll be the one torturing others." Sinosaurus retorted. Wang Shiji shifted his gaze away from the book and glanced at the game screen. He shook his head and said, "Second brother, I think studying is more important. After all, the game is fake." "Boss, you're really boring. Although the game is fake, isn't it great to imagine yourself as a character? If I had the ability to turn the world upside down, then I would be so happy." Sinosaurus said. "Dream on." "Haha, I'm just dreaming. People have to dream a little so that life won't be so boring." Sinosaurus did not mind. When Tang Jing heard this, his heart stirred. Without a doubt, men would yearn to become stronger, and his 3 roommates were no exception. Originally, Tang Jing did not wish to interfere with the trajectory of their lives, but ever since the demon god's blood essence fused into their bodies, it seemed that their trajectories had deviated. "I'll definitely meet all kinds of opponents in the future. If they get caught in the crossfire, then wouldn't I be harming them? Moreover, they have the demon god's blood essence in their bodies. Although I've suppressed it, who knows when it will erupt." In addition, although Tang Jing did not want to admit it, the world's cultivators were faintly showing signs of becoming stronger. Although Tang Jing was very reluctant to admit it, Tianquanzi and the demon god both wanted the cultivators to return. Tang Jing did not have absolute confidence to stop the two. If one day the cultivators returned, what if a war broke out? Did he have the ability to completely protect the people around him? After careful consideration, the answer was obviously no. The only way for them to be protected in the war was to increase their strength. Of course, Tang Jing was a cultivator. It was impossible for him to turn them into warriors. Wouldn't that be cultivating enemies for himself? However, the current situation was not clear. This world was still dominated by warriors. It was impossible to rashly turn them into cultivators, because it would only harm them. But he had to make preparations in advance. Otherwise, if he waited until the last minute, they could only be rookie cultivators at most. They would not be able to protect themselves. In addition, even though his grandfather had an extra 10 years of life, if he wanted to live longer, he couldn't stop here. The life-continuing pill wasn't a long-term solution. The most important thing was to change the old man's body and turn him into a cultivator. That was the final solution. In the past, Tang Zheng was wavering, but after experiencing more and more things, he gradually adapted to his identity as a cultivator and accepted it. However, all of this was easy to say but not so easy to do. He racked his brains, and studied the information in his mind countless times. Suddenly, a pill recipe appeared in his mind. This pill recipe was passed on to him by Tian Chanzi. It was called the Peiyuan pill. The function of the Peiyuan pill was to consolidate one's foundation and build a foundation for cultivation. It would subtly improve a person's physique, which would be more beneficial for cultivation. The Peiyuan pill was not very useful for people who had already become cultivators. It was most useful for people who wanted to become cultivators. This was because it was to build a foundation for them. Once their foundation was solid, they would be able to cultivate the corresponding techniques with half the effort. This is it. I want to refine the Peiyuan pill. Firstly, I want to consolidate my alchemy skills. Secondly, I want to prepare for a rainy day and make plans for the future of the people around me. The three people in room 502 were completely unaware that their life trajectory had undergone a huge change at this moment. Because of Tang Zheng's thoughts, they would embark on a completely different path. Chapter 343. The next day there was a small plate of peanut-sized snacks in room 502. Sinosaurus walked in and casually grabbed one and asked, "Third brother, what is this?" "A friend gave it to me as a specialty. Gaba's products are passed down," Tang Zheng casually said. "Specialty? Why does it taste like candy? Is it delicious?" "It's alright, try it," Tang Zheng suggested. Sinosaurus threw one into his mouth, but it did not melt in his mouth. Instead, it made crunching sounds as he chewed, but it was still very fragrant. Sinosaurus's eyes lit up. It's quite delicious." "Eat more if it's delicious." "That's right, remember to leave some for boss and fourth brother." Tang Zheng gave a knowing smile. Of course these were good things. These were all Peiyuan Dan that he refined, and the raw materials for the Peiyuan Dan did not require expensive medicinal ingredients, which was why he was able to refine them in such large quantities. Moreover, after the 9 revolving pill furnace was upgraded, refining pills was much faster. He could even refine pills in his Sumeru pouch, which was very convenient. These 100 origin cultivating pills were the result of his night's work. Origin cultivating pills were not like life-continuing pills or spirit-gathering pills. Origin cultivating pills could be eaten in large quantities at one time, so it did not cause any harm to the body. It was just like a small snack. Therefore Tang Zheng used such a crude method. He directly threw them in the room for everyone to eat as snacks. It could also be considered as testing the origin cultivating pill's medicinal properties. Tang Zheng silently observed Sinosaurus, who had eaten the origin cultivating pills. He found that there were not many abnormal changes in his body, so he was relieved. The origin cultivating pills had long-term effects. If there was a significant change after eating it once, Tang Zheng did not dare to give it to them in order to avoid others finding out. Zhou Yan and Wang Shiji also came back and shouted, "Second brother, what are you eating? Why are you eating so happily?" "Here, third brother's friend gave me a specialty. Don't say that I ate it alone, I left it all for you guys," Sinosaurus said. "Third brother is good, he didn't forget his brothers. Second brother, you were too ruthless last night ordering such expensive dishes," Wang Shiji complained. "Damn, I saw that you were eating the most enthusiastically, and you said that my food was expensive. Haha, third brother doesn't lack money. You won't be able to make him poor." Zhouyan laughed out loud. He casually threw a Peiyuan Dan into his mouth and said, I've never eaten this kind of snack before. It's delicious. Third brother, next time ask your friend to bring more. I'll pay for it. I don't have a lot, so I can't sell them. I can only go to him occasionally to get some as snacks for us," Tang Zheng said. "Sigh, what a pity. If this thing enters the market, its sales will definitely not be bad. We can make a fortune," Zhou Yan said. Tang Zheng smiled. This was a good thing for ordinary people. Not only could it improve one's physique, it could also prolong one's life. Tang Zheng could be generous to a few of his brothers, but he would not be so generous to others. Moreover, if this thing were to spread out, it would not be a good thing for him. For the next few days Tang Zheng's life was very regular. During the day he went to class, but Li Xiaotian still followed him around like a burden. Yi Dingdong's pursuit of him was even more intense. Moreover, with Feng Xinyang's guidance, the relationship between the two became much closer. During this period, Tang Zheng and Feng Shishir video called several times, which made his roommates cry out that it was unfair. He actually had such a beautiful girlfriend abroad. Lu Qingmei was still looking for a new job. Xiao Bai accompanied her all day and did not encounter any danger. Xuanhuan attached great importance to his apprentice. He dragged Tang Zheng to Panjiayuan a few more times and visited all the antique shops. He also explained his archaeological knowledge to Tang Zheng on the spot. Tang Zheng learned a lot, but it was a pity that he didn't come across any more antiques related to sacrificial rituals. On this day, Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian just came out of the teaching building after class when they saw Feng Xinyang walking toward them. Feng Xinyang looked serious and said in a deep voice, "Little handsome, hurry up and leave." Tang Zheng did not understand and asked, "Aunt Feng, what happened?" "The Wuzong people are here," Feng Xinyang said with some trepidation and glanced at Li Xiaotian next to her. "Who are they?" Li Xiaotian asked. Feng Xinyang shook her head. "We don't know much about the Wuzong, but according to reliable information, the Wuzong people have already arrived in the capital." Tang Zheng faintly smiled and said, "If you want to come, then come. Can I still hide? Besides, I am not the target of the Wuzong." The martial organization must have come because of the devil god, but the devil god had already disappeared without a trace. There were no traces of him in the school, and it was said that the school had already informed Gao Daji's parents of his disappearance. Gao Daji's parents could be considered to be a rich and powerful family in Changheng City. They even came to the school to cause a ruckus, but in the end, it was hastily settled. Feng Xinyang wanted to say something but stopped. She glanced at Li Xiaotian and held back. She was worried that the ordinary balanced people would be exposed. After all, the Wuzong people had died in their hands. Also, the Wuzong people were not weak. She might not be a match for them. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. It was as if he was saying that he was the target of the Wuzong, yet he was still so calm. He was really brave. Tang Zheng was not worried at all. He had already thought it through. Sooner or later he and the Wuzong would have a conflict. Whether it was a blessing or a curse, he could not avoid it. He simply opened the door to welcome the guests. On the contrary, it seemed open and aboveboard. It would not arouse any suspicion. Before the few of them could say a few more words, they were attracted by the two people who were quickly walking over from the distance. This was because one of them was an old acquaintance, Marshall. However, this time, the most eye-catching person was not Marshall, but the old man beside her. This person walked like a dragon or a tiger. His strides were very big. His body was even a little uncoordinated. It was because his bones were abnormally big that he looked like he was fat. However, he was really not fat. The key was his aura. These experts could see that he was an expert. This person was definitely an expert. The people from the martial sect came so quickly. Feng Xinyang frowned and sighed. Li Xiaotian laughed and introduced in a low voice, "This person is the third elder of the martial sect. He is a true great master expert." The Li Palace's intelligence network was very developed, so of course they had a good understanding of the martial sect. When Tang Zheng and Feng Xinyang heard this, their hearts sank. It was no wonder that the large families did not dare to go against these mysterious organizations. The other party only had a third elder and he was already a martial scholar expert. Who knows how many more powerful people there were. This was not something that the large families could contend against. While they were talking, Wu and the third elder had already arrived in front of the three of them. Wu's injuries had already healed, and he looked at Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian with a complicated expression. This time, she was heavily injured by the demon god, causing the martial sect's sect master to be furious. Thus, he directly sent the third elder to deal with this matter. Furthermore, he had secretly given her a new mission. Since the demon god had appeared in the capital, then maybe the cultivator who was good at using the divine bow in the valley would also appear. The sect master's order was to find this mysterious cultivator, and it was even more important than the mission of hunting demons. However, only Wu knew about this mission. Even the third elder did not know about it. Marshall was very curious. Just who was this mysterious cultivator, to actually make the sect master value him so highly? She couldn't help but remember the jade pendant hanging on that person's chest. The word Marshall on it was deeply imprinted in her mind, unable to be erased. That person is a cultivator. Why would he have something from the martial sect? Wu was puzzled and could only temporarily suppress the doubts in his heart. Seeing Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian standing together, Wu couldn't help but frown. Why were the two of them together? What exactly was Li Xiaotian trying to do? Wu and Li Xiaotian were the best of the younger generation in the three great organizations, and would occasionally be compared by the elders. Without a doubt, the two of them were rare martial arts geniuses, and it was said that in terms of strategy, Li Xiaotian was even better. You are Tang Zheng? The third elder stared at Tang Zheng and asked in a deep voice. Tang Zheng nodded. I wonder what business do you have with me? Do you know the whereabouts of the demon god? The third elder went straight to the point. I don't know. The third elder's gaze was like lightning as he coldly snorted. Humph, you're not telling the truth, right? I have plenty of ways to make you speak. With that said, the third elder's big hand grabbed towards Tang Zheng. His joints were thick as if he was made of steel. Tang Zheng immediately retreated, his face darkening, and said, What are you doing? If I catch you, you will naturally speak the truth. The third elder said. Are you still being reasonable? I don't know the demon god, why are you so sure that I know his whereabouts? Tang Zheng asked angrily. You have fought with the demon god, so you are suspicious. I suspect that the demon god has an accomplice, otherwise how could he quietly hide? Tang Zheng rolled his eyes and said, Are you an idiot? If I was in cahoots with the demon god, would he still kill me? The third elder had never been scolded like this before. Immediately, his old face turned into the color of a pig's liver. He flew into a rage and said, You are courting death. A palm swept over, the wind from the palm was biting cold as if it wanted to blow people away. A tender shout sounded out as Feng Xinyang stood in front of Tang Zheng to protect him without hesitation as she used the wind-fire blade. Bang! Feng Xinyang flew out and fell to the ground, spitting out blood. Tang Zheng was shocked. The third elder was really ruthless. Even a Xiantian warrior like Feng Xinyang was injured like this. If he had taken that palm, who knew what would have happened? Immediately he was shocked and angry. He rushed over to help Feng Xinyang up and asked, Aunt Feng, how are you? Feng Xinyang's face was pale. She thought that a grandmaster was indeed not someone ordinary people could compete with. The other party obviously did not use his full strength just now, or she would have gone to see the king of hell. However, the other party's unscrupulous attack made her angry. She also lost her temper. With the help of Tang Zheng, she stood up and said, I'm not dead yet. Then she glared at the third elder and said, You old thing, you are so ruthless. Did Tang Zheng provoke you? Are you going to kill him? Humph, martial arts sect. Everyone is afraid of your martial arts sect. Do you really think you are the king? You have the power to control the life and death of others. Bah, you really think highly of yourselves. Let me tell you, I am not afraid of you. If you want to deal with my son-in-law Tang Zheng, you have to step over my dead body first. Chapter 344. When the few of them heard Feng Xinyang's string of curses, they were immediately stunned. Even Wu looked at Feng Xinyang in disbelief. Guba Tianzhuanji. Feng Xinyang's temper had always been fearless. Back then, she dared to contradict Yi Xuanji, but after coming to the capital, her fiery personality had been restrained a lot. However, deep down she was still the original Feng Xinyang. This time, the third elder's sudden attack had finally ignited this barrel of gunpowder. She couldn't care about anything else and first cursed. This time she had vented her anger. However, the third elder's face turned from red to green. It was as if he had changed his face. It was extremely terrifying. Li Xiaotian said with a smile that was not a smile, There's a good show to watch now. As expected, the third elder roared. His body was like a flood dragon as he attacked Feng Xinyang. He was determined to kill her in one strike. Aunt Feng, quickly retreat. Tang Zheng leaped and blocked in front of Feng Xinyang. Because the opponent's fist intent enveloped him, it was impossible for him to escape unscathed. Therefore, Tang Zheng could only step forward bravely to buy time for Feng Xinyang to retreat. Seeing Tang Zheng risking his life to save her, Feng Xinyang shouted, Little handsome brother, move aside. However, Tang Zheng had already gathered all the true qi in his body and poured it into his palm. When the fist and palm met, there was no heaven-shaking muffled sound. However, Tang Zheng's cheeks instantly turned red and then turned pale. He was as white as a piece of white paper. His arm broke under this punch. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. He endured the pain and did not cry out. However, everyone could feel the pain that went deep into his heart. Moreover, the opponent's endless power was still seeping into his arm and reaching his heart. It was about to break his heart meridians. This third elder was indeed merciless. It was a killing move. Feeling the surging inner strength, a trace of despair flashed through Tang Zheng's heart. Could it be that he was going to die like this? In the end, he still died at the hands of the martial sect. Whoosh. Tang Zheng's palm produced a huge attractive force, and the inner strength disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. The third elder turned pale with fright. What was going on? How did his inner strength disappear? He hurriedly withdrew his fist and retreated, looking at Tang Zheng in disbelief. The others did not know the details and also looked at Tang Zheng in surprise. After all, everyone had witnessed the power of the punch just now. However, Tang Zheng had only lost an arm, and his foundation had not been injured. This was too unbelievable. Tang Zheng was also very surprised, but he immediately understood what was going on. This was the effect of the sky-devouring technique. He had snatched the devil race's cultivation method from Takashi's hands. On a whim, he had cultivated the heaven-devouring technique. Back then, the heaven-devouring technique had sucked away a few chairs and disappeared. He had once fantasized about being able to suck away the enemy and make them disappear. He did not expect that the heaven-devouring technique would automatically activate this time. However, it did not suck away the enemy. Instead, it sucked away the enemy's inner strength, saving Tang Zheng's life. However, this was also an unexpected surprise. He suppressed the joy in his heart and looked at his arm. He immediately frowned. The bones in his arm were all shattered. This time he had suffered greatly. Feng Xinyang seemed to have woken up from a dream and hurriedly asked, "Tang Zheng, your arm is broken. Do you have any other injuries?" Tang Zheng shook his head, took a deep breath and said, "Aunt Feng, I'm fine." Feng Xinyang was still afraid and rebuked. "Why are you so unafraid of death? You actually don't care about your own life." Tang Zheng forced out a smile and said, "I'm lucky. I won't die." Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. She knew that it was some mysterious cultivator's cultivation technique that had played a role. She was immediately horrified. Cultivators are really heaven-defying existences. "Brat, where did you come from? Why can you still stand after taking my punch?" The third elder had always been very confident in his ability, but this time, it was completely beyond his expectations. Tang Zheng let out a cold laugh but did not comment. "Humph, I have a way even if you don't say it. Then take another punch of mine." The third elder fiercely pounced like a tiger and arrived in front of Tang Zheng. His huge fist rushed out like lightning. Tang Zheng hurriedly raised his other intact arm and used the heaven-devouring technique. Suddenly, an invisible vortex appeared in his palm. When the third elder's fist came into contact with his palm, the inner strength that gushed out was absorbed by the vortex. Tang Zheng was not injured at all. He couldn't help but look at the heaven-devouring technique in a new light. Originally he thought it was just a chicken rib. He didn't expect it to have such a great effect. It could actually devour the enemy's inner strength. After the third elder hit Tang Zheng, he found that it was as if he had hit a ball of cotton. It was soft and the inner strength that gushed out disappeared without a trace. "What the hell?" The third elder shouted and quickly withdrew his fist. However, an iron fan appeared in his hand and he pointed it at Tang Zheng's chest. Tang Zheng quickly retreated. The other party wanted to shake him with his inner strength. He could use the heaven-devouring technique to deal with it, but the other party used a weapon, so the heaven-devouring technique was useless. "Humph, you want to escape." The third elder's heart was set. Although he didn't know what trick the other party had, it was obviously only effective against his fist technique. Against a weapon he could only flee. Seeing that Tang Zheng was not a match for him, Feng Xinyang immediately rushed forward to rescue him, but the two of them were at a disadvantage against the third elder, and were in a dangerous situation. Li Xiaotian crossed her arms. She did not have any plans to make a move, she just wanted to see what else Tang Zheng was hiding, and furthermore she wanted to force Tang Zheng to use the heaven-shocking bow, so that she could take the opportunity to snatch it away. Even though she and Tang Zheng were usually at peace, her goal was still to snatch the heaven-shocking bow, but Tang Zheng would not say anything even if she was beaten to death, so she had no choice. Now that he was in a desperate situation, she did not believe that he would still hide anything. Tang Zheng glanced at Li Xiaotian, but did not ask her to make a move like last time. He already understood Li Xiaotian quite well. She was a black-bellied girl. If she met other experts she would still help, but the other party was the third elder of the martial sect, and a great master expert. She would definitely not interfere. Sure enough, Li Xiaotian remained indifferent. This was the campus of Yenqing University, so this kind of fight immediately attracted attention. Someone shouted, "Someone is fighting, damn, an expert, is this a movie? Where is the wire? How did this person jump so high?" Everyone surrounded him as if they were watching a good show, completely unaware of how dangerous this was. Not long later the school security guard also arrived. He waved the rubber stick in his hand and shouted, "What are you doing? Quickly stop." However, the third elder turned a deaf ear to him and shouted, "You too die." The attacks became more and more intense, and the two of them almost couldn't hold on any longer. "Aunt Feng, let's leave this place quickly," Tang Jing shouted. Feng Xinyang nodded. There were too many people here. If they continued to fight, it would definitely cause trouble. Tang Jing leaped out of the crowd and shouted, "If you have the guts, come and catch me." Then he used the earth shrinking technique and flew forward. "Brat, when I catch you, I will definitely tear you to pieces." How could the third elder just watch Tang Jing slip away under his nose? He jumped up and chased after him. The other three people also quickly disappeared, leaving behind a group of stunned spectators. "Damn, I was so engrossed in watching that I actually forgot to take a video." A person patted his head and said regretfully, "Haha, I didn't forget, I recorded it, I'm going to put it on the internet." "This is too explosive." Who said that wuxia martial arts were all flowery and impractical? This is the real Chinese martial arts. Someone praised. Others say that Chinese martial arts are not only for strengthening the body, but also for killing people. Did you guys feel the killing intent just now? Wow, if you didn't mention it, I would have overlooked it. Just now, I really did feel a kind of heart-palpitating feeling. I thought it was just an illusion, so it was the aura of an expert. Hurry up, put it on the internet, this video will definitely go viral. A moment later, a video and many photos appeared on the internet, and then an overwhelming number of reposts and comments appeared. Many people were shocked, but many people scoffed, thinking that this was all made by computer special effects or some crew was shooting a movie. It was all fake. But of course there are many people who believe that this is true, and say that this is the martial arts of wuxia, and the two groups of people immediately confronted each other and launched a fierce discussion. Originally these years the debate about martial arts has been very fierce, and the country has also hosted some martial arts competitions, but those are really flowery and impractical, a group of sect leaders and disciples fighting in front of the camera, but they are soft and have no sense of strength at all, and are laughed at by many people. Some people who originally held a neutral attitude immediately joined the ranks of rejecting martial arts, thinking that the legends of leaping over eaves and vaulting over walls are deliberately exaggerated by some people. In fact, there is no martial arts at all. Wuxia's martial arts are in such an awkward position. Although it is called Chinese martial arts, in fact, it has declined in China. Many of the so-called famous sects are flowery and impractical, and martial arts have become dancing skills, which look very beautiful, but the actual combat is very poor. This is very different from Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Western fighting skills, Aikido, and so on, which are vigorously promoted by the power of the country abroad. These foreign fighting skills are very popular in wuxia, making a lot of money and winning a lot of reputation. Many people have criticized wuxia countless times, thinking that the foreign martial arts are the best, and their own martial arts are the dregs, and they are abandoned like worn-out shoes. This video shocked many people who believe in wuxia's martial arts, and immediately had real evidence to fight back. But soon, some of the so-called famous sects jumped out and said that these are all fake, that they are all movie special effects, and that it is impossible for such martial arts to exist in the world. This is another blockbuster, and even the people in the martial arts world said so. Then, everyone is one-sided in criticizing Chinese martial arts, thinking that this is a hype by some people with ulterior motives. This made many people who believed in martial arts very hurt. The two groups of people fought back and forth on the internet. However, the laymen enjoyed the show while the experts enjoyed the skill. This video quickly spread abroad and into the eyes of some experts, causing many unexpected reactions. Chapter 345. Of course, Tang Jing and the others did not know that their battle video would cause such a huge reaction on the internet. Tang Jing was currently rushing towards the imperial city. Name Ai and Su. Since the third elder was a grandmaster stage expert and he was no match for him, then he would let those who could deal with him take care of him. His movement technique was very fast, using the earth shrinking technique. Furthermore, he was obviously much more familiar with the roads in the capital than the third elder, so he left the third elder behind. The other three people followed behind as well, their speed a step slower than the third elder's. They were overwhelmed with shock. This Tang Jing's speed was truly monstrous, to think that he was actually so fast. The few of them were too fast, and even the pedestrians on the road did not notice anything amiss. They rushed over like a whirlwind. Whiz! Tang Jing leaped up, flipped over the tall city walls of the imperial city, and jumped in, while the others followed suit and entered the imperial city. The imperial city was also known as the Forbidden City, and there were many tourists. Tang Jing instantly disappeared into the vast sea of people. The third elder looked around, but he actually could not find Tang Jing's figure. Brat, let's see where you can hide. Relying on his movement technique speed, the third elder also disappeared into the sea of people, constantly searching for Tang Zheng's whereabouts. The other three were a step too late, and discovered that the two of them had already disappeared from their field of vision. No matter how hard they tried, they could not find them. Feng Xinyang was the most anxious. Tang Zheng was far from being a match for the third elder. If the third elder caught up to him without any help, he would definitely die. Li Xiaotian frowned and muttered, Tang Zheng, you must not die. Even if you want to die, you have to return my heaven-shocking bow to me. Wu's expression was the most complicated. She did not expect the third elder to directly take action and even disappear without a trace. She did not have absolute confidence in the success of this mission. However, the three of them did not sit still and wait for death. They quickly disappeared into the crowd, searching for the whereabouts of the two of them. Tang Zheng didn't really run away. Instead, he led the third elder towards a large hall. A moment later, the two of them arrived at their destination. The third elder raised his head and looked around, but found that there were people in all directions. It was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. This imperial city was indeed one of the most lively scenic spots in the capital. The flow of people was too great, it was simply a sea of people. Brat, where are you hiding? Just now, I clearly saw him escape into this great hall. The third elder muttered. Hey, are you looking for me? Suddenly, a hand rested on the third elder's shoulder. The third elder was shocked and immediately turned his head. In front of him was Tang Zheng. Brat, you're courting death. The third elder flew into a rage. Just as he was about to attack, he discovered that the surrounding scenery had changed. The sea of people had completely disappeared. What was going on? The third elder turned pale with fright. For a moment he actually didn't understand what had happened. When he saw the bare stone walls around him, he realized that the situation was somewhat beyond his imagination. He looked at Tang Zheng in shock and asked, What did you do? Why are we suddenly here? What the hell is this place? Tang Zheng took a few steps back and laughed. Didn't you want to kill me? There are no outsiders here, wouldn't that make it easier for you to do what you want? I'm asking you how you did it. In the blink of an eye, why are we here? The third elder asked with a murderous aura. Isn't your martial sect specialized in hunting cultivators? How come you don't even know the abilities of cultivators? Tang Zheng sneered. The third elder's eyes immediately widened as he exclaimed, You are a cultivator. Tang Zheng did not answer, but waved his hands in the air, and the heaven-shocking bow appeared in his hands. Seeing Tang Zheng's move, how could the third elder not understand Tang Zheng's identity? He suddenly realized, You are the mysterious cultivator that appeared in the valley. Tang Zheng laughed coldly, Your martial sect really can't forget me, you must really want to kill me. Of course, the martial sect wants to kill all the cultivators in the world and you are no exception. You have worn out iron shoes in vain and found it without any effort. Brat, you are courting death, I don't need to spend so much effort to find you. The third elder pointed the iron fan in his hand in the air, and a huge wave of energy quickly attacked Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's expression became serious, he pulled the bowstring and with a buzzing sound the bowstring vibrated, and an invisible arrow shot towards his opponent. Immediately the two of them, one bow and one fan, were locked in a fierce battle. The air currents in the tunnel collided with each other, producing muffled sounds. However, the outside world could not hear anything at all. In addition, it was unknown how this tunnel was built, but it was actually incomparably sturdy. It was not damaged in the slightest during the battle between the two of them. With the help of the heaven-shocking bow, Tang Zheng could even kill a pre-celestial stage martial artist. His strength had increased greatly, and he had purposely opened up the distance between them. However, the third elder was not to be trifled with. After all, the cultivation of the first stage of the Grandmaster stage was much higher than that of Tang Zheng. After exchanging dozens of blows, the third elder had also figured out Tang Zheng's path. He thought to himself that this brat's cultivation was not that high, but the key was that the divine bow in his hand was strange and incomparably powerful. Brat, use whatever other abilities you have. I haven't personally hunted a cultivator for so many years. Today, I will use you as a sacrifice to my iron fan. The third elder roared and pounced forward. With a swoosh, the iron fan opened up and blocked the invisible arrow. Then, with a wave of the iron fan, whoosh whoosh whoosh, several cold lights shot out from the iron fan. Tang Zheng dodged the hidden weapon with a somersault, shot out an arrow with the back of his hand and quickly retreated. Brat, don't run. The third elder roared and chased after him as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, the two of them passed through the long tunnel, and the light in front of them suddenly increased. The third elder squinted his eyes, and saw that Tang Jing had stopped in his tracks, and was looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. The third elder proudly shouted, "Brat, you have no way to escape, right?" Tang Jing laughed, "Who said I was going to escape?" The third elder's heart trembled. He did not know what Tang Jing was planning, but he thought to himself that he was much stronger than the other party, so he was not afraid of him playing any tricks. The third elder walked towards Tang Jing step by step, and Tang Jing slowly retreated into a spacious hall. Not long later, the third elder also walked into the hall. His eyes suddenly lit up and a golden light flashed. He subconsciously used his hand to cover his eyes, and only when he got used to the golden light did he slowly move his hand away. Immediately, his mouth opened wide and his eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. A huge body was imprinted in his pupils, a 5-clawed golden dragon shining with golden light. Was this a dream? Or was this a sculpture? But it was too realistic, so vivid that it seemed like it could pounce at any time. Moreover, the dragon's might made people have an impulse to submit. Tang Jing retreated to the side of the 5-clawed golden dragon, looked at the dumbfounded third elder and said, "How is the scenery here?" The third elder swallowed a mouthful of saliva before coming back to his senses, but his eyes were still unable to move away from the dragon's body. He trembled as he said, "This? How could there be this? Golden dragon, come and say hello to this guest." Tang Jing waved his hand at the 5-clawed golden dragon and said, "Whoosh." The 5-clawed golden dragon snorted in disdain. Dragons were very proud creatures, and although the third elder was high and mighty in front of ordinary people, he was like an ant in front of the 5-clawed golden dragon. "It's alive, this dragon is really alive." A voice roared in the third elder's heart. This was not a sculpture but a real dragon, a dragon from the legends. His face turned pale in an instant and his legs trembled. He had the urge to run away. There were too many legends about dragons, and this kind of creature had too many mysterious abilities. It was not something that ordinary people or even ordinary warriors could provoke. Even cultivators were afraid of this kind of creature, let alone him. But the key point was, why would a dragon appear here, and where was this place, and where did this dragon come from? Seeing Tang Jing standing beside the 5-clawed golden dragon, he was shocked. No wonder this brat was so confident. He had the help of a golden dragon. He did not know how Tang Jing got together with the golden dragon, but no matter what, this time he was in big trouble, big trouble. Seeing the third elder's expression, Tang Jing had already guessed the other party's thoughts and said, "Don't you want to kill cultivators? This golden dragon is also a creature that only exists in the world of cultivators. If you have the ability, then kill it first. Otherwise, don't shout about hunting cultivators all day." Dragon Slayer? Don't joke, that was only a legend, and he had never seen anyone kill a dragon in real life. Even the person who trapped the 5-clawed golden dragon here could not kill it, and could only imprison it. The third elder's mouth was bitter, and he was so dry that he could not speak. After a while he said, "Tang Jing, what do you want? You want to kill me? What do you think I will do?" Tang Jing's face sank as he asked with a frosty expression. "You want to kill me? Kill me, the martial organization will not let you go." The third elder threatened. Tang Jing shrugged indifferently and said, "Your martial organization will not let me go anyway. Moreover, who will know that I killed you? How can I kill you with my cultivation?" That's right, outsiders would definitely not believe that Tang Jing had the strength to kill the third elder. After all, the difference in their cultivation was too great. "Don't worry, your martial organization will not discover this place, so even if you die, no one will find out," Tang Jing said. "Where is this?" "Under the Imperial City. If you don't know how to control the formation, you will definitely not be able to come here." The Imperial City? I never thought that there would be a dragon hiding under the Imperial City. Tang Jing sneered and patted the golden dragon. "It's time for you to show your skills." The 5-clawed golden dragon disdainfully said, "This kind of ant is not worthy of me making a move." The third elder was called an ant by the golden dragon, but he had no way to refute it. Moreover, the golden dragon spoke in human language, which made him even more shocked. "A mosquito is still meat. Moreover, if you don't kill him, are you going to let him starve to death here? That's too cruel." "Humph, if it weren't for the fact that you are a celestial, I would be too lazy to make a move." The 5-clawed golden dragon compromised. It seemed that it was rather afraid of Tang Jing's identity as a celestial. The third elder did not know what a celestial was, but seeing that the 5-clawed golden dragon seemed to be rather afraid of Tang Jing, his mind became blank. Chapter 346. Seeing the 5-clawed golden dragon's huge head crouching down, the third elder screamed and turned to run. He was not stupid and knew that he was not the golden dragon's opponent. Running away was the most effective way. Nameio and Sise, but where was this place? This was the five-clawed golden dragon's territory. The dragon opened its mouth and a whirlwind soared into the sky and directly swept the third elder back. The third elder fell to the ground in a sorry state. Since he could not run away, he could only resist. He clenched his teeth and waved his iron fan. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The five-clawed golden dragon did not dodge at all. Instead, its eyes were full of contempt. Ding, ding, ding. The hidden weapons all hit the five-clawed golden dragon's golden scales and splashed out sparks. However, the five-clawed golden dragon was not injured at all. Seeing this, the third elder's face was filled with despair. He leaped up and pointed his iron fan at the scales of the five-clawed golden dragon. Sparks flew in all directions and a huge rebound force caused his arm to tremble. The iron fan flew out of his hand. The difference between the two sides was too obvious. Moreover, the third elder was almost scared out of his wits and did not have much strength to resist. Seeing this, Tang Jing could not help but sigh. This kind of creature was really too heaven-defying. It actually had such a powerful strength. He wondered who imprisoned him here. The third elder did not have a weapon and his strength was greatly reduced. The five-clawed golden dragon did not bother to continue playing with him. The dragon opened its mouth and bit the third elder. The third elder quickly jumped up to escape. However, the five-clawed golden dragon was much faster than him. Under the dragon's power, the third elder's heart trembled and there was a kind of fear that came from the bottom of his soul. Crack. The sound of bones cracking could be heard as the sharp dragon teeth bit into the third elder's body. The third elder let out a heart-wrenching scream as he stared in horror at the huge monster in front of him. Let me go, don't kill me. The third elder screamed loudly. However, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. It raised its head, and the third elder's figure disappeared from its mouth. Then, with a gulp, the third elder was swallowed into the fifth claw's stomach. Tang Jing also looked at this scene with some surprise. He didn't expect the five-clawed golden dragon to swallow him in one gulp. This was the real definition of being swallowed alive. The five-clawed golden dragon swallowed the third elder as if nothing had happened. Skywalker, why didn't Xiao Bai come to accompany me these past few days? These two mystical beasts seem to have formed a deep friendship. During this period of time, Xiao Bai was by Lu Qingmei's side, which made the five-clawed golden dragon rather dissatisfied. It has its own things to do. Bring it back to play with me as soon as possible. The five-clawed golden dragon said discontentedly. Tang Jing made an sound, curiously looked at its stomach and asked, You ate him, will you be okay? The five-clawed golden dragon said disdainfully, What can happen? Tang Jing hurriedly said that it was okay. Skywalker, it seems that you have provoked a big trouble. Don't be killed before you can let me out. Tang Jing had an idea and said, That's not necessarily true. What, didn't you promise me that you would let me out? Tang Jing provoked the martial organization this time. He didn't know how the martial organization would deal with it, but there was no doubt that he would have a lot of trouble in the future. The five-clawed golden dragon was so powerful, he didn't know what kind of special skills they had, so his mind became active. I did promise you, but if I die in the hands of others first, then I can't fulfill the agreement. Tang Jing said. The five-clawed golden dragon muttered, That seems to make sense. No, you are too weak. I have to let you live, otherwise I won't be able to escape. Tang Jing was overjoyed, but on the surface he said, Oh, what can you do? The five-clawed golden dragon proudly said, I am a dragon, of course I have a way to let you live. I will teach you a dragon's cultivation technique. Dragon's cultivation technique? Tang Jing was shocked. Of course, this cultivation technique is called the Dragon God's Secret Art. There are a total of 9 layers, and it is my dragon's supreme secret art. As long as you train hard, it will definitely increase your cultivation faster. The five-clawed golden dragon said solemnly. Tang Jing was overjoyed and said, Then I will thank you. Don't just thank me. Remember our agreement. The five-clawed golden dragon reminded him, then he raised his dragon claw and gently tapped on Tang Jing's forehead. Boom. A thunderous sound rang out in Tang Jing's mind, as if something had exploded. A golden light danced in the air, and then intertwined to form a passage of words. This was the cultivation method of the Dragon God's secret art. There were only a few thousand words, but it was incomparably profound. The opening was even more profound than the ancient Clear Heaven scroll. As for what realm you will be able to reach, that will depend on your luck. The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Jing nodded. He read word by word and began to study it. He began to cultivate according to the method. A moment later, a trace of hot air began to circulate in his body. This hot air was completely different from ordinary xianxia. It seemed that the power was much purer, and it flowed side by side with xianxia. But this air flow was still too weak. It was not conspicuous compared to xianxia. The physique of a celestial is indeed precious. You actually have a sense of qi so quickly. The five-clawed golden dragon praised. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. He was not in a hurry to continue cultivating. After bidding farewell to the five-clawed golden dragon, he once again returned to the main hall. At this moment it was close to evening, and the crowd of tourists were gradually leaving. Tang Zheng mixed in with the crowd and found Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang's face was filled with anxiety, but seeing Tang Zheng safe and sound, she could not help but let out a breath of relief and hurriedly asked, "Tang Zheng, how are you? Are you okay?" Tang Zheng shook his head. Only his right arm was broken, and when he pulled the heaven-shocking bow, he had to endure the pain. Now that he had relaxed, he also felt a bone-piercing pain. "Where's that martial sect elder? Let's leave this place first." "Right, let's leave first. The old man is already rushing over here. Since you're safe and sound, let's go meet up with him." Tang Zheng was a little surprised. He never thought that Yi Xuanji would actually rush over to save him. Perhaps his relationship with the Ye family was getting tighter and tighter, causing Yi Xuanji to have no choice but to pay more and more attention to him. The two of them got rid of Wu and Li Xiaotian and left the imperial city. Then they met up with Yi Xuanji and Yi Tianlei. When the two of them met, Yi Xuanji asked impatiently, "Where are the people from the martial sect?" "Dead." Tang Zheng said calmly. "Dead." The few of them were shocked. The other party was a grandmaster martial artist. How could he die? They all looked at Tang Zheng at the same time. Of course, Tang Zheng would not go into detail. He only said that the martial sect elder had died, and that no one would find his corpse. Furthermore, no one would personally see the martial sect elder die at his hands. Feng Xinyang had a stomach full of questions. Even though Tang Zheng had killed the martial organization elder, there was no movement at all. This was too inconceivable. After all, if the two of them were to engage in an intense battle, they would definitely not be able to escape the detection of Feng Xinyang, Wu and the rest. However, it was obvious that there were no signs of fighting in the imperial city. How did he do this? Even though she was extremely smart, she could not imagine that Tang Zheng had used an array formation to quietly bring the martial sect elder into the underground of the imperial city. Furthermore, there were too many tourists at that time, so no one noticed that two people had suddenly disappeared. Seeing that Tang Zheng was unwilling to speak in detail, the few of them could not force him. They were only shocked in their hearts, but they also felt that the situation was even more troublesome. The martial sect elder was not an ordinary person. His death would definitely cause a huge uproar, and would probably attract the revenge of the martial sect. This would be a disaster for the Ye family. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze. At that time he was able to rope him in, but in the future he did not know whether it would be a blessing or a curse. Tang Zheng glanced at Yi Xuanji and saw his hesitation. He said without batting an eyelid, "I'll return to the school first. If the martial sect people come looking for you, you can push the responsibility onto me." Before Yi Xuanji could say anything, Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei had already retorted at the same time. "How can that be? You and the Ye family are one. How can we abandon you just because a disaster is about to befall us?" Pausing, Feng Xinyang clenched her teeth and said, "Little handsome brother, no matter what the martial sect wants to do, we will accompany them to the end. Everyone else is afraid of the martial sect, but I am not. At most, we will see just how powerful they are." Feng Xinyang was not afraid of the heavens or the earth. Moreover, Tang Zheng was injured in order to save her, so with her personality, how could she leave him alone? Furthermore, he was her chosen son-in-law, so it was impossible for her to not save him. Yi Tianlei looked at the old man. He understood his father's difficulties, but towards Tang Zheng, he had no reason to back down. He said resolutely, "Tang Zheng, your Aunt Feng is right. We will advance and retreat together. If the martial sect really wants to punish us, at most we will fight to the death." Tang Zheng was moved. Facing the martial sect that other families did not dare to provoke, for the two of them to express their stance was already very commendable. Yi Xuanji, who had been silent all this while, raised his head and burst out with a shout, "Nonsense, what's the benefit of going against a martial ancestor? Don't look at how strong the Ye family is. If we really angered the martial sect, it would be a disaster for our family." The few of them were speechless. Yi Xuanji continued, "Moreover, there is no need to fight to the death. No one saw the death of the martial sect elder. As long as we keep our mouths shut, even if they have suspicions, they will not have any evidence. Although the martial sect is strong, they have to be reasonable. If they do not have any evidence, they will not be able to destroy the Ye family. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang heard this and were overjoyed. They did not give up on Tang Zheng. This meant that Tang Zheng's position in their hearts had been consolidated. Tang Zheng looked at Yi Xuanji in astonishment. All along he did not have a good impression of Yi Xuanji. Yi Xuanji's considerations were too focused on the gains and losses of benefits. This time he actually supported him. However, he had to admit that the older the ginger, the spicier. Yi Xuanji's words were very reasonable. Although the martial sect was a large organization and could kill cultivators without fear, and was a great threat to the large families, if the other party wanted to destroy the Ye family without any evidence, it would definitely cause the other families to panic. It would cause them to dislike the martial sect, and the martial sect's prestige would fall to the ground. After understanding the details, everyone temporarily put their hearts back into their stomachs. Tang Zheng was brought back to the Ye family to heal. Just as night fell, the Ye family welcomed an uninvited guest. Chapter 347. These uninvited guests were Wu and Li Xiaotian. The two of them searched the imperial city several times but were unable to find Tang Zheng and the third elder. In the end, even Feng Xinyang disappeared without a trace. Nei Maio and Su Se, the two of them gradually realized that the situation had changed, so they came to the Ye family at the same time. When the two of them saw the bandaged Tang Zheng and Feng Xinyang, their expressions were completely different. Li Xiaotian was in disbelief, while Wu's face was even gloomier. "Where's the third elder?" Wu went straight to the point. Tang Zheng pretended to be at a loss and said, "I don't know either." "You don't know?" Wu's eyes narrowed. She was about the same height as Tang Zheng. Her eyes were like lightning, but Tang Zheng acted as if he did not feel anything and looked at her calmly. "The third elder is missing. I can't contact him, but you dare say you don't know?" Wu aggressively questioned. "Why should I know? He wanted to kill me, so I took advantage of the crowd to slip away. Is there a problem with that?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. Wu looked at him suspiciously. In her impression, Tang Zheng was still stuck in the military training. Later on, she found out that he had a great realm master and that he was not weak. As a result, her disgust for Tang Zheng became even stronger. Previously, when the third elder made a move against Tang Zheng, she did not stop him. For those who dared to deceive her, it was already benevolent of her not to kill them with her own hands. The third elder is a great master realm martial artist. How could you slip away under his nose? Furthermore, the third elder has mysteriously disappeared. Hearing that, Feng Xinyang could not help but retort, "What do you mean by that? Don't tell me that if that old man wants to kill us, we have to stretch out our necks for him to chop off?" Wu glanced at Feng Xinyang and coldly said, "In short, this matter is very strange. You can't get away with it. As long as I don't find the third elder, I won't let him off." Feng Xinyang flew into a rage. "What do you mean? Do you want to kill someone? I'll say the same thing again. Don't think that you martial arts sect people are the heavenly king and can kill others. If you want to touch Tang Zheng, you'll have to step over my Feng Xinyang's corpse." Martial did not comment. She looked at Yi Xuanji and asked, "Does the Ye family want to be enemies with the martial organization?" Yi Xuanji was also a little angry in his heart. After all, he was the head of a family and a master-level expert. How could he be threatened by a Xiantian realm martial artist like this? He forcefully suppressed his anger and indifferently said, "Tang Zheng is the Yi clan's future son-in-law. You guys want to kill him for no reason. This is something that doesn't make sense." Hearing the song, Martial and Li Xiaotian immediately understood that the Ye family wanted to support Tang Zheng. The two of them understood the reverence the big families had for the three big organizations. This time, the Ye family actually dared to go against the martial organization. This was truly unexpected. Li Xiaotian's eyes narrowed into a thin line. He thought that this play was getting more and more interesting. The decision to come to the capital was really too wise. Martial's eyes turned cold and said, "All right, I will remember your words. Since that is the case, then wait for our sect master to come and talk to you." Martial left in a huff. She understood that since the Ye family wanted to support Tang Zheng, it was useless for her to stay. After all, she was not Yi Xuanji's opponent. However, Li Xiaotian stayed behind and looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. However, Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it. This woman did not care about his life and death earlier, and probably wished for him to die. Yi Xuanji did not have any enmity towards Li Xiaotian. Now that he had offended the martial organization, he could not wait to rope in the Li Palace. Thus, he stood up from his chair and walked to Li Xiaoyan's side and said, "Holy maiden, you have been in the capital for some time now. This Yi has not done his duty as a host yet. Why don't you stay for dinner?" Facing Yi Xuanji's invitation, Li Xiaotian agreed with a smile. Yi Xuanji was secretly happy. Although he did not understand the relationship between Li Xiaotian and Tang Zheng, as long as she was willing to accept his goodwill, it would be the first step to success. The banquet was sumptuous and the host and guests enjoyed themselves. "What did you do to the martial organization, elder?" Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian stood in the garden, admiring the fresh flowers while Li Xiaotian pretended to casually ask. Tang Zheng stared at the fresh flowers under the night sky, as if there was a bit of flirtatious beauty, and calmly said, "What can I do to him?" "If you are a cultivator. Cultivators have many mysterious methods, and it is said that they are very powerful. Could it be that you killed him?" Tang Zheng's heart thumped. This two-faced woman's intuition was really accurate. However, on the surface he did not have the slightest flaw and said, "Don't joke around. He is a master-level expert. I can't even beat you, how can I kill him?" Maybe she thinks that a small shrimp like me is insignificant and leaves on her own. "You are insignificant? Why don't I think so? Tell me, if I tell your identity to the martial organization, will you become very important?" Li Xiaotian asked with a smile. Tang Zheng felt a chill in his heart. He turned his head and stared at her. Their eyes met, and there were too many complex feelings in each other's eyes. Tang Zheng secretly made up his mind. If there was a chance, he must kill Li Xiaotian. This woman knew his identity. She was a time bomb too dangerous. Of course he could not rashly kill the other. Not to mention that he was not her opponent now. Even if his strength surpassed hers, he must cleverly kill her. He must not attract the attention of others, otherwise he would fall into great trouble. "You want to kill me?" Suddenly Li Xiaotian asked with a smile like a flower. Tang Zheng's heartstrings trembled. This woman was too smart to be able to read his thoughts from his eyes. He hurriedly covered it up and said, "You must be joking. You are the high and mighty holy maiden of Li Palace. Who would dare to kill you? Killing you is making an enemy of the Li Palace. Isn't that asking for death?" I didn't say that you would dare to kill me. You just want to kill me. Daring and thinking are two different things. But let me tell you one thing, I don't want to kill you, so give me the heaven-shocking bow as soon as possible. How about we go our separate ways?" Pausing for a moment, Li Xiaotian added, "Furthermore, I can guarantee that the Li Palace will protect you. Even the martial sect will not dare to do anything to you. All of this, you only need to hand over the heaven-shocking bow." This suggestion was very tempting. Handing over the heaven-shocking bow could resolve the martial sect's troubles once and for all. If his heart was not firm, he would definitely agree to this condition. However, Tang Zheng already knew what kind of person Li Xiaotian was, so how could he easily believe her promise? He believed that as long as Li Xiaotian obtained the heaven-shocking bow, she would not hesitate to shoot him to death. This woman's heart was black. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not hear anything, and quietly stared at the flower. Li Xiaotian shrugged his shoulders and said, "Let me remind you, the martial sect will not let you off. Don't think that with the Ye family supporting you, you can rest easy." Tang Zheng did not comment, as if he did not hear anything. Li Xiaotian left, and Tang Zheng followed closely behind. After confirming that he was not followed, he quietly went to Lu Qingmei's house. When she saw the bandage on Tang Zheng's arm, she immediately became extremely anxious and pulled him aside to ask questions. Tang Zheng did not explain in detail, and only looked into her eyes seriously. This was the first time Lu Qingmei had seen Tang Zheng so serious and asked, "What's the matter?" "Sister Mei, I want to tell you something very important. This is a matter of life and death. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for you," Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. Lu Qingmei's expression became serious and asked, "As long as you tell me, no matter what it is, I am willing to know without any regrets." Tang Zheng's head heated up and he muttered to himself, "Sister Mei, in this world, other than ordinary people, there are two other types of people, martial artists and cultivators. I've heard of martial artists before. They're people with powerful skills. I heard that Yi Dingdong's family are martial artists," Lu Qingmei said. Tang Zheng nodded his head and said, "Other than martial artists, there are also cultivators. Cultivators are even more mysterious, and their strength cannot be underestimated." Tang Zheng spoke tirelessly, telling her the difference between cultivators and martial artists, as well as the various mysteries of cultivators. This was the result of careful consideration by Tang Zheng. Lu Qingmei was an ordinary person, and she had no ability to protect herself. Since he had decided to let her practice magic, of course he had to tell her these things. Moreover, Tang Jing decided to pass on the dragon god secret art that he obtained from the five-clawed golden dragon to Lu Qingmei. Currently, he didn't have a suitable cultivation method in his hands. Moreover, the dragon god secret art was definitely not weaker than the cloud water secret art that Fang Shishir practiced. It was just right for Lu Qingmei to practice this. Lu Qingmei was already stunned, and she looked at him incredulously. These words seemed to have opened another door in front of her, shaking her three views. It turned out that people could really fly over eaves and vault over walls, and they could also use magic. This kind of method was close to that of immortals. Suddenly, she realized a very serious problem and quickly asked, Tang Jing, are you a cultivator or a martial artist? Cultivator. Tang Jing calmly said. Didn't you say that the relationship between cultivators and martial artists is not good? There is even a martial organization that specializes in hunting cultivators. Doesn't this mean that you are very dangerous? Lu Qingmei said with concern. Tang Jing nodded. I am indeed very dangerous. My injuries were caused by the people from the martial organization, but the martial organization is still not clear about my identity as a cultivator, so I am still safe for the time being. Lu Qingmei clutched her chest. In the past 20 years, the things that she had seen were not as big as this information. However, she was very gratified that Tang Jing told her this secret because it was related to his life and death and was the biggest secret. Him confessing to her already showed her position in his heart. Immediately, she felt as if she had eaten honey in the bottom of her heart. Then what are you going to do now? Will the martial organization still come to deal with you? Block soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. I am fine for the time being, but I am also dancing on a steel wire rope. At any time I can fall off the cliff and be smashed into pieces. Chapter 348. Hearing her heartfelt words, Tang Jing was very excited and tightly hugged her. At this moment, the two people's hearts were closer than ever before. Nameio and Sisei, okay, I'll teach you the dragon god technique. Let's cultivate it together. If the martial organization wants to deal with us, it won't be that easy. Tang Jing said firmly. At this moment, Lu Qingmei remembered that her cultivation technique was called the dragon god technique. That night, Tang Jing and Lu Qingmei were both cultivating the dragon god technique. Under Tang Jing's guidance, Lu Qingmei's progress was very fast. Her profound Yin body was indeed suitable for cultivation. With the help of spirit stones, the two of them reached the first layer of the dragon god technique. Lu Qingmei directly reached the first grade of the foundation establishment stage. This made Tang Jing overjoyed. Her physique was even better than Fang Shishir's. Moreover, with the help of enough spirit stones, her progress was very fast. Speaking of spirit stones, Tang Jing couldn't help but frown. The air pollution in the capital was very serious, and the heaven and earth spirit chi was even thinner than the ordinary balance. Using the spirit gathering pill to absorb spirit chi to cultivate was not reliable. Moreover, there were many experts in the capital. If the heaven and earth spirit chi fluctuated too violently, his identity would be discovered. Therefore, the spirit gathering pill was temporarily useless and the spirit stones were almost exhausted. If he wanted to quickly increase his cultivation, he had to find a substitute. He racked his brains for a long time and finally decided to look for pills. After searching for 10 days, he found a type of pill called the Dragon Origin pill. This pill was full of spirituality. It was refined using hundreds of precious medicinal ingredients and the blood of a flood dragon as a catalyst. The xuanhuan pill was also a very precious pill in the cultivation world. Because of the flood dragon's blood as a catalyst, the effect was very overbearing and could quickly increase one's cultivation. The flood dragon is not a real dragon, but an existence before the flood dragon turned into a dragon. Using the flood dragon's blood as a catalyst has such an effect. If using the blood of a true dragon as a catalyst, what kind of effect would it have? Tang Jing curiously thought. If other people knew of his thoughts, they would definitely scoff and think that he was crazy. Flood dragon blood was not easy to find, let alone true dragon blood. The dragon was a very unique creature. It was completely different from ordinary demon beasts. Its status in the xianxia world was quite high. It was difficult for ordinary cultivators to see a real dragon in their lifetime, let alone obtain the blood of a real dragon. It was simply wishful thinking. Therefore, the person who researched the Dragon Origin pill used the blood of a flood dragon and did not use the blood of a true dragon. To other people, all of this was a fantasy, but to Tang Jing, it was something that could really be realized. That was because there was a real dragon imprisoned under the imperial city. The true dragon's blood was only a catalyst, so he didn't need much of it. The key was how to persuade the five-clawed golden dragon to voluntarily give up its blood. Otherwise, with Tang Jing's strength, there was no way he could obtain the true dragon's blood. When he returned to the Yenching University dormitory with this problem, his three brothers looked at him strangely. But when they saw the injury on his arm, they immediately surrounded him and asked about his well-being. Tang Jing smiled and said that it was not a big deal. Only then did the three of them relax, but their expressions were still a little strange. Sinosaurus patted him on the shoulder and said, "Lao San, yesterday you were really outstanding. What divine martial prowess surpassing others?" Tang Jing was confused. Zhou Yin said, "Lao San, you are now a famous person. In the future you will be a big shot. Don't forget about us in the future." Wang Shiji also had a serious face and said in a serious tone, "Oh, three remember. *CK, what are the three of you doing? Just what is going on?" Tang Jing inexplicably cried out. "You really don't know?" The three of them were incredulous. "What do I know?" Sinosaurus quickly turned on the computer and opened a video. He pointed to Tang Jing and said, "See for yourself." The computer was playing a video. Tang Jing instantly opened his eyes wide. This was the scene of him fighting with the third elder yesterday. How did it get online? This is bad. There must be someone who secretly recorded it and then posted it online. This time he was exposed. What made him even more surprised was the comments and reposts. There were actually tens of thousands of comments. This was definitely the rhythm of becoming popular. Damn, this bro is popular. Tang Jing had a bitter face. He did not want to become popular. He liked to keep a low profile. Moreover, if this kind of battle video was seen by someone, what if they found some clues? Hehe, Lao San, now I know that you are popular. The netizens have given you a famous nickname, Kung Fu Bro. Lao San said mischievously. Damn, Kung Fu Bro, who gave this name? They must be so bored that their balls hurt. Your Kung Fu is really too powerful. It is even more beautiful and powerful than in the movies. It makes people's blood boil. Alright, who is that old man? Tang Jing shook his head. A madman, but it's already been taken care of. How can I delete this video? Delete it for what? People nowadays can't wait to become famous. Since you have this opportunity, of course you have to seize it. As long as this topic is hyped up, your reputation will be famous. In the future, there will be reporters, television stations and film companies looking for you, and then you will become a big shot celebrity. Haha, this time, the few of us can also benefit from it. Lao San, why don't I be your manager in the future? Zhou Yin was also eager to give it a try. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If he wanted to become famous, he wouldn't have been unwilling to expose himself even though he was the top scorer in the exam. In the end, he gave the opportunity to Takashi. Lao Si, how can you fight with me? Of course, this manager belongs to me. Sinosaurus volunteered. Lao Air, you are tall and strong. Being Lao Sen's bodyguard is not bad. For example, in the future, you will be responsible for the pursuit and interception of those fans. Zhou Yin said. That's a good suggestion. Wang Shiji nodded in agreement with a serious expression. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Stop messing around, I don't want to be famous, I don't want to be famous. The few of them looked suspiciously at Tang Jing, confirming that he was not joking. They were all surprised, young people who did not want to be famous, who did not want to be loved and respected by others. But Tang Jing was actually not moved by fame and fortune, he was truly a freak. Lao San, it's too late if you don't want to be famous. Moreover, this incident has caused a lot of discussion about martial arts. Some of the so-called experts and sect leaders of the martial arts sects on the internet have said that you are faking it. It is impossible for a person's martial arts to be that powerful. This has caused a lot of debate among the netizens. Zhou Yin said helplessly. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said disdainfully, I think those experts and sect leaders are all people fishing for fame. They are not as powerful as Lao San, so they are just making sarcastic remarks and slandering him. They are really too despicable. Wang Shiji said, but there are still a lot of people who support Lao San. Of course, the eyes of the masses are bright. Tang Jing shook his head. He really did not know how this matter would ferment. He could no longer control the things on the internet, but this reminded him that he had to be more cautious in the future and not let others catch him. After a day of classes, the few of them walked downstairs to the dormitory building and found a few people carrying cameras guarding the entrance. Tang Jing was stunned. Damn, he really attracted the attention of the people from the television station. In this moment of shock, a few reporters immediately noticed him and rushed over. They handed the microphone directly to Tang Jing's mouth and asked in rapid succession, "Excuse me, are you Kung Fu Bro?" Seeing that Tang Jing did not answer, the other party asked again, "Kung Fu Bro, may I ask if your Kung Fu is real?" "Sorry, I don't accept interviews." Tang Jing wanted to walk away from the side, but how could the experienced reporter let him do as he wished? The female reporter had already used her body to block the entrance and did not let Tang Jing enter. She continued to ask, "Between you and that old man, who won and who lost in the end?" "I can't announce it. Sorry, I have to go back to the dormitory." Tang Jing refused. But the reporter was the best at chasing and did not let him go. She said, "Kung Fu Bro, I heard that the Wuxia Martial Arts Association is looking for you. May I ask if they have contacted you? Will you consider joining them? And the annual martial arts convention is about to begin. Will you participate?" Of course not. Tang Jing learned real skills, not the showy martial arts on TV. Why would he participate in some Wuxia martial arts convention? "I just want to be a quiet student. Please don't disturb me," Tang Jing said helplessly. "Kung Fu Bro, a lot of people on the internet like you. They hope that you will stand up for Wuxia's martial arts and win glory for the country. Don't let down your skills." The reporter said sincerely, "And I am also a martial arts enthusiast. Although I don't know martial arts, I, like many others, believe in the authenticity of Wuxia's martial arts and its actual combat ability. It is not as showy as some people say." The more the reporter spoke, the more excited she became. It was obvious that she had put her own personal feelings into it. Now more and more people don't believe in the inheritance left by their ancestors. Instead, they believe in imported goods, especially martial arts. If we don't do something, I'm afraid that in another 10 or 20 years, Wuxia's martial arts will really withdraw from the stage of history and those imported goods will become popular. This is simply a disgrace. When Tang Jing heard this, his face became serious. When he was an ordinary person, he also believed that Wuxia had truly powerful martial arts, but there were many people around him who scoffed at it and thought it was nonsense. At that time he was also very sad and often complained about why those experts did not make a move. Why did they hide and not prove their country's heritage? This was simply condoning those imported goods to become popular. But now he had also become an expert. Although he was not a real martial artist, his ability was not inferior to a martial artist. He had the ability to prove Wuxia's martial arts and give many people a kind of belief and confidence, allowing Wuxia's martial arts to truly rise and go further. Seeing that the reporter was so serious and even had a pleading look on his face, Tang Jing was silent and his gaze gradually became serious. The reporter was not in a hurry and looked at him without blinking. He did not know if he would give those who still believed in Wuxia's martial arts a boost of confidence. Many thoughts and worries flashed through Tang Jing's mind. In the end he made a decision. Chapter 349. Tang Jing looked at the expectant reporters and said in a deep voice, "I will reiterate that I will not join any martial arts organization that only knows how to show off. However, if there is a chance to prove Wuxia's martial arts, I am willing to do my best. Zishdi will eat well." The reporter was overjoyed and said, "Thank you, Kung Fu Bro. All the martial arts enthusiasts in the country will thank you. After so many years, no one has stood up for martial arts, and you have done a deed of boundless virtue." Tang Jing smiled and said, "I am not as noble as you say. I'm only doing what I can. However, I can tell those doubters that you all swear that Wuxia's martial arts are all showy but useless. I want to tell you that you are very wrong. There are many real experts in the country, but they do not care about your clichés." The reporter was so excited that his eyes turned red and said, "What you said is very good. However, if someone challenges you, will you accept the challenge?" "Yes, I will use my own strength to prove the fighting strength of Wuxia's martial arts," Tang Jing solemnly promised. The reporter left satisfied. His words were quickly published. Suddenly, the debate about Chinese martial arts intensified and became the hottest topic on the internet. However, the doubters were still unwilling to give up. They said that Tang Jing was just playing to the gallery and was an embroidered pillow. However, Tang Jing was like an outsider. He completely ignored the debate on the internet. Although his roommates mentioned it to him a few times, he just laughed it off. However, the situation was far more complicated than he imagined. The next day, a middle-aged man with a bulging belly found him and claimed to be the vice president of the Wuxia Martial Arts Association. The vice president did not have the slightest bit of respect for Tang Jing. This was because Tang Jing said in front of the reporters that Wuxia Martial Arts Association was an organization that only knew how to show off. Although this was the truth, after all, being slapped in the face by Tang Jing like this made this group of people lose face. Moreover, the Wuxia Martial Arts Association was a semi-official organization. Many of the chairman and vice-chairman had official identities, and many of the consultants were the leaders of the major sections. All these years, the right to speak had been controlled by them. Now, a young man had come out and said that they were all flowers and no substance. Although this was the truth, how could they not be angry when it was exposed like this? Tang Jing, you're still so young. Why are you saying such irresponsible things? This is an insult to the entire martial arts world, do you know that? The impact is extremely bad. The vice president reprimanded harshly. Tang Jing had figured out the reason for the other party's anger, so he showed disdain. These people, who usually only knew how to cheat the country's policies and money, also dared to talk about bad influence and so on. It was really a case of a thief crying thief. If it weren't for these people adding fuel to the fire and turning martial arts into dance arts, Wuxia's martial arts wouldn't have been rejected by so many people and landed in such an awkward situation. Zish Di can eat, I'll return those words to you. You know very well whether I'm lying or not, Tang Jing retorted without holding back. The vice-chairman was a government official, not a martial arts practitioner. Deep down he did not believe that Tang Jing was that powerful. Although he had seen the video circulating on the internet, the current filming technology was so advanced that an ordinary person could become a master with just some editing. Moreover, there were so many people hyping things up on the internet, so he did not believe that Tang Jing was that powerful. He thought that Tang Jing was just a sensationalist. Seeing Tang Jing's attitude, the vice-chairman's face sank. Is this your attitude? I will make you regret what you said today. After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and left. Not long after, the Wuxia Martial Arts Association issued an official statement that Tang Jing was just a clown. It was just a hype and told everyone not to believe his words. This time, the people who originally scoffed at martial arts seized the opportunity and attacked Tang Jing like a storm, while the people who supported Tang Jing vigorously refuted. The two groups of people quarreled on the internet until people were thrown off their feet. The person involved, Tang Jing, did not pay attention to these gossip. Under the curtain of night, he sneaked into the underground of the imperial city and discussed the matter of the dragon origin pill with the 5-clawed golden dragon. Presumptuous, you are too bold. You actually have the idea of using my blood to refine pills. This is an insult to the dragon clan. The 5-clawed golden dragon was high above as he angrily complained. The eruption of the dragons might make Tang Jing feel a strong pressure. However, he did not back down and earnestly advised, Golden Dragon, not long after, the people from the martial sect will come to kill me. If my cultivation does not increase quickly, then I will be very passive and my life will be in danger. Didn't I teach you the Dragon God technique? I have only cultivated to the first stage of the Dragon God technique. Although this technique is very powerful, it can't make me stronger overnight, so only the Dragon Origin pill is the most useful thing for me. Moreover, I don't want your life, I just want a few drops of your blood as a medicinal primer. The 5-clawed golden dragon stared at Tang Jing with his lantern-sized eyes, as if he was weighing his words. After a long while, he still said indignantly, the life of the dragon clan is very precious. Even blood cannot be given to others casually. Tang Jing rolled his eyes and said, don't tell me you weren't injured when you fought with others and didn't bleed at all? This. The 5-clawed golden dragon hesitated. My cultivation will increase quickly and then I will let you regain your freedom. Isn't this killing 2 birds with 1 stone? The 5-clawed golden dragon's eyes changed. Finally he snorted and said indignantly, you humans are so cunning. Fine, I promise you. But I will tell you this is the only time. Although Tang Jing felt that it was a pity, there was nothing he could do. With a wave of his hand, the 9 revolving pill furnace flew out. I will immediately start refining the pill. When I need the dragon blood I will tell you. The 5-clawed golden dragon looked at him curiously and said, you have a lot of skills. You even know how to refine pills. Tang Jing pointed his finger and a ball of flame ignited on his finger. It was a 2nd-grade true fire. Although his cultivation had increased a lot compared to before, the grade of his true fire did not break through. However, using a 2nd-grade true fire to refine pills was more than enough. A large bag of medicinal ingredients that had been prepared long ago was thrown into the pill furnace. With a boom, a flame rose from the pill furnace and completely enveloped the medicinal ingredients. The medicinal properties of the medicinal ingredients were pulled out like silk from a cocoon, and the dregs disappeared under the burning of the 2nd-grade true fire. In the end, all the medicinal properties of the medicinal ingredients were gathered together and turned into a fist-sized liquid ball. It was suspended in the pill furnace and rapidly rotated. Now, drop the dragon blood into the 9 revolving pill furnace. Tang Jing said loudly. The 5-clawed golden dragon stretched out its dragon claw and its originally golden scales suddenly turned blood red. A drop of dragon blood seeped out from the scales and dripped into the pill furnace. A ray of blood soared into the sky and even covered the color of the true fire. The entire hall was dyed in a blood-red color. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. The true dragon blood was indeed extraordinary. He could clearly feel the strange power contained within that drop of dragon blood. The dragon yuan pill was much more complicated than the spirit-gathering pill, so Tang Zheng formed a seal with both hands and quickly slapped the pill furnace. Peng 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 peng. A few muffled sounds rang out as the pill furnace began to rapidly rotate. The spiritual qi between heaven and earth became chaotic, as if a storm was raging as it continuously poured into the pill furnace. A few hours later, the pill furnace stopped rotating. A ball of golden light slowly rose from the pill furnace and a fragrance filled the entire space. It made people feel as if they were floating in the air. The five-clawed golden dragon glanced at him and said, "Skywalker, your alchemy skills are not bad. You can actually refine such a high-grade dan." Tang Zheng was secretly delighted. This was his only chance to refine the dragon yuan pill. In the future, it would not be easy to persuade the five-clawed golden dragon to take the dragon blood's initiative. He quickly leaned over and saw 10 glittering dragon yuan pills quietly lying in the pill furnace. They were emitting an enticing aura. 10 dragon yuan pills. This was the result of one refining session. It was much less than when he refined the spirit-gathering pill. Back when the 9 revolving pill furnace was not a profound grade magic treasure, he could refine more than 20 spirit-gathering pills at once. But now that the 9 revolving pill furnace's grade had increased, he could only refine 10 dragon yuan pills. This was enough to show how difficult it was to refine the dragon yuan pill. There was a truth in alchemy. The more precious the dan was, the more difficult it was to refine. The dragon yuan pill was undoubtedly a precious dan. Tang Zheng carefully put away the 10 dragon yuan pills and then left the imperial city. The sky was getting brighter. Before he had time to go to Lu Qingmei's house to share the joy of the dragon yuan pill with her, he received a call from Sinosaurus. Sinosaurus called early in the morning. There must be something urgent. Sinosaurus shouted, "Third brother, someone has sent you a letter of challenge. They want to challenge you." A letter of challenge? Tang Zheng was confused. Could it be that those fake goods from the Wuxia Martial Arts Association dared to send him a letter of challenge? Wasn't that just asking for humiliation? He knew what the Wuxia Martial Arts Association had done in the past few days. The other party had issued an official statement more than once to accuse Tang Zheng of malicious speculation and tarnishing the reputation of the Martial Arts Association. They wanted to hold him responsible. Tang Zheng brushed it off with a smile. This time he heard that someone had sent him a letter of challenge. He couldn't help but be curious and asked, "Who sent me a letter of challenge?" Sinosaurus chuckled and kept him in suspense. He said, "Third brother, isn't the Martial Arts Society convention about to start? And your matter has pushed the Wuxia Martial Arts Association to the forefront of the storm. Moreover, the Martial Arts Association's face has been ruined by you. So in order to save face, they want to hold this Martial Arts Society convention as a global competition and invite all the martial arts fans in the world to compete." This group of people from the Martial Arts Association really think of themselves as officials. They think that everyone will give them face. They took the initiative to send invitations to many experts from other countries, inviting them to come to the capital to participate in the Martial Arts Society convention. Most people ignored them because these experts know that the people from the Martial Arts Association are all showy and impractical. Competing with them for the so-called championship is an insult to themselves. In the end, the Martial Arts Association didn't even invite a single expert. However, an unexpected piece of news came out later. A Muay Thai expert saw your video, so he named you and sent you a letter of challenge. He will only participate if you participate in the Martial Arts Society convention.